movie fans? Wanting to talk today with you guys about Hocus Pocus 2. This is going to be definitely more of a full review. There will be spoilers involved in this review, so just so you know. The movie's been out for a while now, so I feel fine talking about it in detail. So I really kind of want to just do a walkthrough of the movie and talk about what I liked about many different aspects of the movie and how fun I really thought it was. Let's start at the very beginning, because this is really what got me like excited and pumped and hooked to what this movie was going to be. And it was actually the Disney logo. You know, the castle, like as the logo was rolling, about midway through, the music just totally switches its tone. And the color scheme, like it just totally all switches. And switches rhymes with witches. And then it just gets this feeling of 1653 Salem. So it's this perfect segue into a backstory. We see the Sanderson sisters on Winifred's 16th birthday. And she's all in a tizzy because she's being told that she's old now. And so she has to get married. So, of course, she refuses, like, not about to do that. But that leads to the Reverend wanting to split these three sisters up. And as far as we can tell, there's no parent involved. These three sisters are orphaned, with Winifred being, like, the leader, the parental figure as well. So, kind of interesting. The Reverend, don't forget about him. He's important. The young Sanderson sisters, I thought, did such a great job with these roles, which really made this backstory, the whole backstory, just such a fun introduction to the movie. I love when it's done right, because if it's done right, you feel like, yes, we want this story. Yes, we needed this story. When a backstory is done like that, to kind of just try to justify a sequel, then sometimes it just doesn't feel right, you know? I'm kind of thinking of like Spider-Man 3, you know, with that whole backstory of Sandman and kind of like changing the way things went. Like, that was weird. Didn't feel like it fit. But the backstory here I thought was awesome and just really was just a great way to start the movie. There were some wonderful lines for the youngest sister, Sarah, that I thought were just super hilarious. They're like breaking these plates. Like, that was my favorite plate. She's sad about it. They're trying to hide when the Reverend comes to the house, and Sarah's like yelling, "We aren't home." Like, just so perfectly delivered and so Sarah and so funny. I really liked that. Mary had the great crooked smile down perfect. Winifred's mannerisms and outlook on things was just spot on. So it was great. Story-wise, the sisters flee out of the village. They go into the Forbidden Forest, which turns out to be a very key venue for this entire movie. We get to even hear Sarah's song that she was singing in the first movie, right? That would lure children in. But this time it's not being sung by Sarah, because she's just a child. And we meet this witch who starts the whole witch story for Winifred, letting her know that it's on the 16th birthday that a witch gets powers, right? Happy 16th birthday. Here is a book. And she's given this magic book, right? There's a really cool line here. It says, "Magic has a way of uniting things that ought to be together." But also there's this: "Thou art lucky to have each other. A witch is nothing without her coven." So it's kind of some really cool things there that end up being big messages throughout the whole movie and play an important role in it. So yeah, the sisters get the book. They go right to work. They go back to that Reverend and set his house on fire. But as they're doing it, you know, Winifred, she's the one reading the spell. And the sisters are kind of doing like the backup vocals, you could say, to a song of the incantation, which I thought was so fun. I loved those sing-songy chants from the original, so I was already just like, yes, I'm glad that's still a thing, you know? So that was cool. Not only do we get some really fun first movie references, like getting to see Billy Butcherson, and a spell, reading about a spell that could turn a person into a cat. But yeah, the lines, the messages are set there that become foundational for the whole movie, its plot, its twist, and the power of this movie's message. Then we fast forward into present day. We meet Becca, our main character, and her best friend, and a third girl that seems to have kind of an estranged relationship with the other two. Maybe even just a strained relationship. There's something there when we first meet them, right? But yeah, that girl Cassie has a boyfriend. His name is Mike, and he is hilarious. I remember the first time I watched it, just being like, what is with this guy? But then he kind of grows on you, and now, like, having watched it like 3 times, I think, I just think he's super funny and does a great job, and yeah, I don't know, awesome. Like, oh, he just got great lines, you know, like, why did you do that? 'Cause it's funny. He laughs after everything he says, which is just, again, maybe at first like kind of like, what? But no, it's so endearing to his personality and his character. So I thought that was great. And yeah, as a character, he's not the type of guy to hold anything back. So he totally calls the girls out for like liking to do witch stuff. And you know, like he even predicts that, well, not predicts, sorry. When Becca predicts that there's going to be a pop quiz, he's just like, well, I hope not, because I definitely didn't do the reading, you know. And he just says things like they are, which is kind of funny. So in their interaction there with the pop quiz happening, of course, Becca goes and teases Mike, and he's like, is that a spell? And, you know, she's muttering some weird, scary language or whatever. This gets Mike and Becca sent to the principal's office, which, can you have a high school movie without people being sent to the principal's office? Like, it just doesn't work, you know? It's got to be there. So it's totally there. Becca tries to warn her friend, strained relationship with Cassie about not throwing a party at her house, that it's not a good idea. But Cassie just reads into the strained relationship, saying, you just think you're too cool for it now. So yeah, there's a conflict there. That's going on, but we see that Cassie wants to throw a Halloween party at her house. We then meet her dad. Her dad happens to be the mayor. The nicest man alive. They refer to him as. This guy is Tony Hale. Tony Hale plays the dad. And I don't know, as soon as like we knew, like, this is Tony Hale, just all you can hear is Forky. Like, it's Forky. Forky is the mayor. There's Forky, and you just hear the lines like, that's Forky. Like, it's just fun. It's just fun. But yeah, also didn't even realize it on the first watch, but he does play the Reverend in the backstory, the introductory scene. The Reverend that was, you know, trying to split the Sanderson sisters up. That Reverend is also played by Tony Hale, and we learned this mayor is a descendant of that very Reverend, right? Next thing that happens is we meet a guy named Gilbert. Gilbert the Great, who has a magic shop conveniently located in the Sanderson sister cottage, right? Which was such a big part of the first movie, right? But for Becca's birthday, he gives her a magical candle with, you know, that message, hey, 16th birthday, a witch gets her powers. We also get to see Book again and see where Book has been for these last years, locked away in a case in Gilbert's magic shop. But yeah, I thought it was really fun to meet this Gilbert character, see the magic shop, see how much he loves magic, but also really funny because as he's recounting the story of the Sanderson sisters, a little boy in the audience asks, what's a virgin? And he handles the question perfectly. It's someone who's never lit a candle before. Super great. So, of course, Becca and Izzy take this new magical candle to where? That's right, the Forbidden Forest. And in there, a virgin lights the magical candle. And kaboom! This magical candle happens to have a black flame coming from it. What? Crack in the ground in the shape of a pitchfork, and the witches are back.
Pack up your children! Yes, Salem, we're back! Are those the Sanderson sisters?
How else would they come back? With a song. You gotta sing about it. So the witches are back. They're singing us a song, and quirky, cheesy, yes, but in the right way. That is fun and entertaining and just so perfectly Sanderson sister. Loved it. So we get some encounters with the witches and our teen heroines who have to kind of like be smart and outsmart the witches and buy themselves some time and some salt. Very good idea. But yeah, in the end, they still end up back at the Sandersons' cabin, where we learn that Gilbert wanted to bring them back. He was setting them up. He was setting Becca up to light that candle so that it would bring the Sanderson sisters back. In his mind, it would be super cool and awesome to have them back. But yeah, no. The witches bewitch Gilbert and kind of turn him into their minion almost, in a sense. Not like a full-blown, he doesn't know who he is, or zombie version of himself. Oh, speaking of zombie, we'll get to that in a second. But just that he has to do this, or yeah, he'll die. In my mind, it was kind of like the Imperious Curse from Harry Potter. Yeah, like, you do this, he's got to do it. So he now has become a helper to the witches, and he's trying to get things that are going to help them. But help them what? What do they want? So cool that in the sequel it wasn't just the same thing. They weren't just trying to suck life out of children so that they could continue living. They wanted something different. They wanted, well, Winifred at least wanted, Magica Maxima, a spell that was mentioned in the opening scene, and the witch who gave them the book said, no, don't ever use it, don't ever do it. But of course, yeah, they're going to do it, right? Like, of course. So they've got to get some things, they've got to get some ingredients to make the potion and to do the spell and to do the stuff. So Gilbert's out on that errand, but they are specifically looking for the blood of an enemy, which, of course, the mayor's the descendant of the Reverend, so they need his blood. Oh, yeah. And funny that as the witches are going, they kind of end up riding brooms in style of the first movie, right? It's just a little bit more updated. So Winifred, of course, gets a traditional broom. In the original, Sarah was flying on a mop, so now she has like a swifter mop, like a updated version. And then Mary was flying on a vacuum, and in this one, she's got the Roombas. So yeah, kind of a cool, like, similar nod to the first one, but now an updated version, right? So that's kind of fun. Anyways, back to the story. Cassie's party, yes, it gets busted up because Becca is like, they're going to try to kill the mayor. Let's get him safe. Let's get him out of there. He's in the public square. Let's get him out of there. So tell him about the party so that he'll have a reason to go home. Get him away from the witches, right? So that's that. But what does that do with Cassie and Becca's relationship? Whoops. Doesn't really help it, right? Well, yeah. So that's what's happening with them. The witches are trying to find the mayor. They end up on stage for a costume contest of the Sanderson sisters. But hey, they're on stage where they want to be. So what are they going to do? Bada bing, bada boom. Let's get another song.
1, 2, 3, 4.
And it's awesome. Like, duh, perfect setup, perfect way to swing it so that they're able to sing it. And I love the incorporation of the incantations into the song. They put spells on the whole town. Sorry, all the adults in the town. But again, similar to the first one, but not the same. This time, they're going to try to lead the witches to the mayor. So that's kind of cool. Singing one way or another, I'm going to get you. So Hex on the crowd, awesome. Loved it. Loved it, loved it, loved it, loved it, loved it. And as they get to the mayor's house, the witches find a little, AI, like Siri, Amazon, Alexa type thing.
There is a small woman trapped in that box. Oh, yes.
I still don't understand. Is there something else I can do for you?
All right, the Hex crowd turns into a flash mob to the mayor. He just wants to get his caramel apple. He's just like, I wish I knew the steps. I wish I could be part of this flash mob. But yeah, in that, he loses the coveted caramel apple, which was like all he cared about. To him, he even said it was life-changing, so good. And in that scene, there's some really fun throwbacks to the first movie with costumes that people are wearing. So definitely don't miss those. But Becca, Izzy, Cassie, they're working together. The Sanderson sisters have come to Cassie's house. They trap them in a circle of salt, and they can't get out. They're stuck in there because the salt blocks dark magic, and the witches are dark magic, so... And then Sarah's all like, let us bewitch them with song and we will convince them to set us free. And she's all excited about this genius idea she had. And then you get this great line. I don't particularly feel warmed up to be singing down there, the low notes, you know, like what? No, don't tell the story or the plan to the people you're trying to get what you're going to do. No. So anyways, fine. We're good. They've got them trapped. Everything's fine. Everything's safe, right? Good job to the girls. Well, Gilbert, he's out there getting the stuff that he needs to get, right? But one of those ingredients for the spell is the head of a lover. So he goes and digs up Billy Butcherson. Told you I'd get back to the zombie. He's a nice zombie, right? So Cassie and Becca and Izzy, they got to figure things out between the three of them and communicate how they feel. We got Mike, who's the boyfriend of Cassie. He did not even know that he'd been making fun of them the whole time. He just thought he was making conversations and stuff. And he's just like, whoa, I got a lot of people I need to apologize to. It's just like, it's funny. But it's also just like kind of sweet. Like, oh, Mike. Then the mayor comes home to see the Sanderson sisters trapped in his garage. And he's just like, what's with the gothic golden girls? Like, oh my goodness. Tony Hale's just so much fun in this movie. At this point, he just kind of goes on a rant describing like the worst day ever. Yeah, it's just funny. He's just great. So entertaining. Such a wonderful part of the movie. Great addition, right? So wonderful. But then a rescue comes for the witches. Not going to spoil that for you guys what that is. But yeah, it happens. They get freed, which is a total surprise to the girls. But before that rescue and their leaving of the garage, I got it in the garage. My favorite line from the whole movie happens. Yes, it's Winifred. What makes this movie great? The Sanderson sisters. Like, they're just great and fun. But yeah, favorite line, Winifred says, my eyes are misted over with the tragic tears from a lifetime of failure. It's just so over the top, so dramatic, and just so poetic, right? My eyes are misted over with the tragic tears from my lifetime of failure. Like, they're at the end of the rope. They've lost. They're gone. No, the rescue comes. They get out. And who do they take? They take Cassie. She's the daughter of the mayor, so blood of the enemy still in her. What? Oh, so that's what happens. Oh, yeah. And then poor Mike finds Billy Butcherson's walking zombie body without a head walking around. Poor dude. Like, rough day for Mike. So Cassie's flying away, and as she is, Becca and Izzy, of course, want to, like, wish they could do something to stop it. Becca's, like, reaching out. And there's, like, some blue coming from her hand. Something we've seen before, but definitely not this clear, right? A blue power was definitely emanating from Becca's hand, right? What? So, where is all this going to shake down next? Of course, you guessed it. We're going back to the Forbidden Forest. It's the place, right? Gilbert has everything laid out for the spell. It's all ready. Billy tells him the witches are going to kill you anyway. Like, why would you help them? And then Gilbert's like, well, maybe I can stop him. You can't put out the black flame candle. It's not going to work. So they start doing their spell. The witches arrive. They're doing it. Becca and Izzy come up because they're going to try to rescue Cassie. Becca definitely has powers. It was her 16th birthday. You're a witch. She's definitely got those powers. But I love it because now she can use magic to stop them. But really, there's not a whole lot she can do against the most powerful coven in history. Of course, Winifred said that. So Cassie and Izzy do all they can to fight back. They're throwing stuff. Becca's trying to like blue magic them. And yeah, Becca's got her own coven. Let's go. But then all of a sudden, Sarah starts zapping. And Mary starts zapping. Suddenly powerful. All three of them. Whoa! So here we go. We're getting to the climax. You can feel it. You can see it. It's leading up to it. And yeah, such a fun ride to get there. You have a choice, Becca says. Winifred's like, what are you talking about? She's like, I'm not talking to you. She's talking to the book. And the book chooses to go to Becca instead of staying with Winifred. But Winifred's like, I can do the spell without the book. And whoa, that's crazy. So Becca's got some time away from the Sanderson sisters with the book and her own coven, right, with Cassie and Izzy. And they learn a very interesting lesson about magic, power. They learn power is meant to be shared. And yeah, when the Sanderson sisters attack, they definitely put that to work right away. So cool. And they're able to defend themselves from these witches. Pretty awesome. So, anyways, Sanderson sisters go back to getting Magica Maxima. That's what they want to do. Our heroes realize there's something they can do. As Winifred finishes the spell, and whoa, some fireworks are happening. This spell is a big deal. But soon, Winnie learns that she has to make a choice. You gotta choose, Winnie. You're gonna choose your power or your sisters. Life and immortality with max power. As the sisters were leaving, she said,
Art thou not coming with us?
Mary totally butchers the line. It's hilarious.
Oh, fare thee well, my sisters.
Yes, yes, and Winnie, sorrow is such sweet parting.
Oh, but Winnie's like, wait, can nothing be done? She's kind of shook. Like, her sisters are gone, and she's kind of shook. A new witch and her coven can manifest what is written. So, opening the book, Becca sees some stuff. Becca recites the spell with her two friends giving the backup incantations. It's super cool, right? And then Winifred's like, well, where are they? Why aren't they coming back? Becca, this spell sends you to them. Right? Which, honestly, so cool. Like, the good guys win, but also the Sanderson sisters get a happy ending. And truthfully, Winifred wasn't even mad about it. She was happy to be going to her sisters. I think that's such a cool thing. For them to get a happy ending. I know maybe not everybody's ideal for, you know, the witches and I don't know, but the family friendliness of it, I love it. I think that's great and wholesome and wonderful. And choose your sisters over selfishness, of course. Like, that's just awesome. And yeah, and then she even thanks Becca. She thanks her for it and says, how lucky art thou to have each other. I love it. I love it. So, leads to a great message of choosing family, of not being selfish, right? And yeah, so the witches were back. Now they're gone. And then there's going to be some resolution and stuff like that too. But other cool messages and just a shift in focus that this movie brought, this new sequel brought, kind of just took away from the magic being an evil thing and made the magic just kind of more of a neutral thing. Like, it could go either way. So choose good with the power that you have, right? And power's meant to be shared. So have your group work together, choose love and goodness, not selfishness. Like, it's some good stuff right there, right? So super fun, and that finishes the wonderful sequel of Hocus Pocus 2, which, yeah, I really did think it was wonderful. A delight, a joy, a gem, and yeah, a treat for sure. Totally a treat. All right, well, interesting now. Let's get into some theory stuff. My 8-year-old actually brought this one up, which I thought was really cool. So the witch, that's the bird. We not only see at the beginning, but we see the bird again at the end. But my 8-year-old brought up the question, did that witch lose her coven because she did Magica Maxima? Interesting theory. Very interesting theory. Now, the witch says she lost her coven because of the people of Salem, that they weren't, accepting of witches, of course, which Salem is famous for, right? The Salem witch trials. But that doesn't necessarily rule this theory out completely, because maybe it was the people of Salem not liking witches that drove her to doing Magica Maxima. So causality, it would be their fault. Do you know what I mean? So I thought that was kind of interesting. Plus, we do have a tag scene, which leaves it open for a third. I was watching Sarah Jessica Parker interview, and she said there that Bette Midler had wanted to do this Hocus Pocus sequel for years. She's been pushing for it, trying to get it to happen. Super cool, right? But then the question was asked, well, what about a third one? To which Sarah Jessica Parker said, hey, if Bette does it, I am all in. I'll totally follow her to that. So I thought that was kind of cool, kind of cool. When Bette Midler was asked about it, she was a little more hesitant because this movie was filmed during COVID, so all the restrictions and things were kind of tough. So she wasn't super definitely about it, but she didn't rule it out either. So that's interesting. But if you did do a sequel, then, there could be some interesting things with the bird that could fit in there. There could be a continued story of that bird, that witch, teaching Becca and her friends, training this new coven in magic. And one of my friends I was talking to, this was kind of a cool thing that he thought of, was you could even then have some flashback scenes of the witch teaching Sarah and Mary and Winifred, the Sanderson sisters, originally, right? And use those same actresses because they were so fantastic, right? And then have her training this new trio that we just met. I mean, it might even work as a Disney Plus series rather than just a movie, but I don't know, there could be something cool with that. And Gilbert does have another candle, so maybe the Sanderson sisters would just come back anyways. Who knows? So, interesting. We'll see. Honestly, reviews haven't been great, which really surprised me. I was kind of shocked. The Rotten Tomatoes score was fresh, but just barely. The audience score, not a fresh score, 52%, which made me really sad, honestly. I was totally surprised because of just how we just loved it and embraced it. But going into it, I do got to tell you, my expectations were pretty low. As we were hitting play on it, my son was like, we all know this is going to be terrible, right? There's no way this is going to be very good. So we kind of went into it with pretty low expectations and then just were pleasantly surprised and delighted and honestly overjoyed at how fun of a movie it is. So maybe those that gave it negative reviews just need to go watch it again. That can change everything. I mean, I like to see movies twice, you know what I'm saying? Can't talk about box office numbers. They don't exist. This movie was released directly to Disney Plus, so there's that. But man, the box office has just been in a rut. We'll see if that changes with the coming out of Black Adam. I think that'll do some boost for it, the box office. But yeah, through September and early October, box office was pretty low. I kind of feel like a Hocus Pocus 2 would have done some good that way for the box office. But the people that I've asked, people that I've talked to, they're just happy to get to just have it directly on Disney Plus, not have to pay the extra money you'd be paying to see it in theaters. But would I have gone to it in theaters? Heck yes, definitely. And I think it would have been really fun to see it in theaters. I think what it would have done was it would have caused more of an event. I think we would have had people dressing up to the theater and going in, you know, cosplay and totally just having so much fun with the Hocus Pocus sequel in theaters. But it didn't happen, and I mean, in some ways that's okay, because now we have it and we've been able to watch it so many times. So, and I'm gonna watch it even more as we're getting close to Halloween. Such a fun time. All right, everybody, I'm so glad you were able to check this review out. To leave some of your thoughts, share them with me as well. Love to hear from you. And yeah, lots of fun with Hocus Pocus 2. Sure loved it. Definitely saw it twice. Thanks for tuning in. Have a good one.